Hello, today we're going to be talking about modeling integers with arrays and using counters. So remember we're still in SOL 7.3, which means we're going to be modeling addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of integers. We started with the number line. Today we're going to do the arrays with counters and then hopefully move up into adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing integers without any models. All right, pull out your notes on page 26. We're going to take our notes and then we'll jump into practice problems. Notes aren't real long, so it shouldn't take real long. All right, remember our first step is always to eliminate double signs. Like if I have a negative, negative, that becomes positive. Remember, we've got integer Bob that likes to tag along for the ride, and he helps you remember how to change your signs. If you have double signs, rewrite your expression. That means we take those double signs out and replace it with just the one sign, and that helps make things a little easier. Our next step is to circle each integer and include the sign that's in front of it. Once we've done that, we will draw counters for the first number and then draw the counters for the second number circled. And when we draw those counters, you want to try to keep them lined up. I like to use rows to make it a little bit easier on us when we're solving for zero pairs. I just talked about what a zero pair is. That means we have one positive and one negative. So that's like having one positive, one negative. If you smush that all together, you get 1 minus 1. That means 0. It could be 5 positives, 5 negatives. They're still going to equal 0. So it's when you have the same amount of a positive and negative, those all equal 0. The next or the last step we have is to count the remaining counters to determine the sum or difference. So if we look at our practice problem, if I can get it to slide down without jumping on me, we do have double signs, so we're going to use integer Bob. We have a positive and a negative. If we get rid of those, we're left with just a negative. So we rewrite it as 4 minus 5. Circle your integers. So I got a positive 4 and a negative 5. We're going to draw the positive 4 first, and I'm going to draw it using circles, and I'm going to add a plus sign just so I know those are positive. Then I'm going to draw 5 negatives. I'm going to put them right underneath so they're neat rows for me. There's 5 negatives. My next step is to identify my zero pairs, and I'm going to do that by putting them in boxes. So I know that is one zero pair. It's one positive, one negative. There's a second zero pair, third zero pair, and a fourth zero pair. That means that this is equal to 0, this is equal to 0, this is equal to 0, and this is equal to 0. And that leaves me with 1 negative, so I know that 4 minus 5 equals negative 1. And that's my answer. So that's how we are using array models and why are we using them. So let's look at some examples. So always, this is not on your notes, but go ahead and add it. You want to have a key, and your key could be that these are positive and negative with plus signs and minus signs inside of them, or you can color one of them in. It's going to be both ways on your SOL. A lot of times they just do colored circles, white circles for positive, colored for negative, and sometimes they will reverse it on you, so be careful and watch your key. So go ahead and add a key like this into your notes so you know what we're doing. Do I have double signs? No, I do not. So I'm just going to circle my integers with the sign in front. And then I'm going to draw what I have. I have 2 positives. So here's my 2 positives. And then I have 4 positives. And this is just like elementary school when we were adding positive numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a positive 6. I don't have to do anything special. No zero pairs, they're all the same. Okay, and the next one, I have just a single operation in the middle, so I don't have to simplify it. I've got a positive 6 and a negative 1, so I'm going to have 6 positives. All of these are positives. And I have one negative. Next, I'm going to box in my zero pairs. I only have one. That means that this equals 0, so I don't worry about it anymore. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives, so my answer is 5. If you look at number 3, our next model, we do not have a double sign in the middle, so I'm just going to circle my integers. I have a negative 5 and a positive 4. Draw your negative 5. And I'm going to draw my positive 4. Next, I'm going to highlight my zero pairs. You can use it boxes, you can use highlighters, however you want to show that that equals 0. And what am I left with? I'm left with 1, negative 1, and that's my answer. Okay, the last one, again, we do not have double signs in the middle, so I'm just going to circle my integers. I have a negative 1, and then I have a negative 7. Okay, those are all the same. There's no zero pairs because they're all the same. When it's all the same, simply add. And in this case, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have a negative 8. Sorry, not a positive 8. My answer would be negative 8. Okay, let's look at some where we have double signs in the middle. So we've got to eliminate those double signs. So if I look here, I've got a positive and a negative. Help me out, Integer Bob. Get rid of my positive and negative, and I'm left with just a negative. I rewrite it as 8 minus 3. Let's draw my 8 positives. My 3 negatives. I identify my zero pairs. I have 3 zero pairs, and that leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives. Okay, for our next one, erase what I have there so I have room to write. Again, I have double signs. Oops, if I use a pen. I have double signs, so I'm going to get rid of those. Help me out, Integer Bob. I have 2 negatives. That leaves me with a positive. So I have positive 2 plus a positive 5. Which is just like elementary school. If we add those all up together, we get a positive 7. Okay, let's try number 7, and then I'm going to let you guys try number 8 by yourself. So I have double signs. Let's eliminate those double signs. Integer Bob says if I have 2 negatives, it becomes a positive. I'm going to rewrite it as negative 8 plus 2. Draw your negative 8 counters. Draw your 2 positive counters. Identify your zero pairs. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negatives. Make sure you notice those are negatives, not positives. Go ahead and pause the video, try number 8 on your own, and then once you're finished, restart the video and see if you did it correctly. Okay, we've got double signs in the middle. Welcome back. We have to eliminate those double signs. Integer Bob says if I have negative attitude, get rid of the negatives and I get a positive. I have negative 10 plus a positive 7. So let's draw those 10 negatives. Seven positives. We're going to identify our zero pairs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm left with 3 negatives as my answer. Hopefully you did that correctly. I'm sure you all did because you're that smart. Okay, let's look at the other type of problem that you're going to see on your SOL. This is one where they give you the model and they ask you to identify the equation. When you're looking at these problems, I am going to caution you, always look at the key that they give you. So for this one, each gray circle is worth a -1, and each white circle is worth a +1. So I'm going to go ahead and add in negatives so I don't miss that these are negatives and that these are positives. To write our equation, I'm going to first look at this little grouping, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 negatives, and then in this grouping, I have 3 positives. You may also see it written as 3 positives minus 7 or plus 7 negatives. But if we get rid of those double signs, this is what we'd end up with. So any of those would have worked depending on how we view the problem. Then if we were to go ahead and solve that problem, let's identify our 0 pairs. If we identify our 0 pairs, we're left with 4 negatives, so our answer to that problem would be a -4. You may see it both ways, where they're asking just for the equation or they're asking you to solve it. Looking at the next problem, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, before I get started, look at my key. Each one of these is not worth 1, it is worth 2. So this is 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 8 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2 would give me 12 positives, or count by 2s as you're adding your pluses. Or you could write that as 12 minus 8 or 12 plus a -8. All of those would have worked. So now I just need to identify my 0 pairs to solve it. Here's 1 0 pair, 2 0 pairs, 3 0 pairs, 4 0 pairs, and I'm left with 2 positives. You could write +2, or you can just simply write it as 2, because we understand that if we just see a 2, it's always positive. We're going to do number 11 together, and then you're going to try number 12 on your own. Number 11 I put in there just to show you. They might throw this in. These are worth 1 point each, so this is 2 negatives. And then I have 4 negatives here, but there's a subtraction sign between the boxes, so this has a double sign. So before I can move on, I have to get rid of that double sign. So let's rewrite that as -2 plus 4. I didn't bring out Bob, but you guys should know this by now. Negative equals a positive. And then I'm going to rewrite my counters so it makes sense, and I will show you in class on Friday why this works. Okay, so if we look at it this way, I've redrawn my counters after rewriting the problem. I have 2 0 pairs, and I'm left with a +2, and that's my answer. Okay, the last one, I want you to try number 12 on your own. Keep in mind, whoa, let me not move that. These are all worth 2, so as you're writing that down, keep in mind each of the circles is worth 2. So try that on your own, and then once you've finished, restart the video and see if you've gotten it correct. All right, welcome back. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 negatives, 2, 4, 6 positives. I could have also written it as 6 minus 10 or 6 plus a -10. Again, those are all the same answers. And then if I solve that by identifying my 0 pairs, 1, 2, 3, I'm left with a -2. Nope, sorry, not 2. I didn't look at my scale. -4. Okay, so hopefully you understand what we're doing. If not, bring in your questions and we'll go over it in class on Friday. For your homework, look on page 28. This is just like what we did before. You are going to use these questions to submit your answers to the quiz on Edmodo. Remember that you're solving the problem, so you should have a number answer here, but also include the letter of the matching graph or the model. So say I thought number 1 was C, you're going to enter it as a lowercase c. It's not, but say I did. Don't put C, you'll get it wrong. Okay, good luck. Go ahead and do your quiz on Edmodo, and we will see you guys on Friday.